Hey y'all, what's going on? Roland Martin here. Hope all is well with what everybody is doing. It's a Saturday, and it's a gorgeous Saturday. Matter of fact, I should turn this camera around. See how I turn this camera around? There it is. I turn around. Y'all see? All right. It's a gorgeous day. So I'm sitting out here. I was gonna play golf today. But the problem is, uh, all the people are aerating their greens, which means they punch holes in the greens, they recycle and put sand on them. And I ain't trying to pay the same amount of money to play some old bumpy ass greens. So that's why I didn't go play golf today. So it is gorgeous. I mean, it's great out here. I mean, it's a beautiful day here. In DMV is 81 degrees right now. So I ain't trying to go shopping because I ain't trying to buy nothing because I don't need to buy anything. So we're getting ready, of course, to launch Roland Martin Unfiltered on September 4th. My crew has been busy setting the studio up. I showed y'all some of that stuff. I posted that video the other day. And so we're getting ready for that. So that's pretty cool that we're working on. So, so I'm sitting here going, all right, man, what I want to do. So, there's all kinds of stuff. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get some reading in. So last night, I started this new book. Because y'all know I'm a fundamental person. I believe in reading. I can't stand all these folks out here who walk around who are utterly clueless about American history, who don't know nothing. And I'm always trying to tell people they need to pick up a damn book because, there's nothing worse than people walking around this country who don't know nothing, they ain't never read nothing, and they're just spouting off all the time. And so I'm always about information. And so people ask me all the time, they say, dude, you always quoting books and always doing those different things like that, which is true, which is very true. So yes, it's very true. I'm always reading. That's just what I do. I got 1,000+ books in the house, and so I said, man, let me come out here and just sit on my porch, in front of the house, and I'm just gonna read. So I want to do so. So anyway, so here's what I'm reading. So Jeff Pearlman. So how many of y'all remember the United States Football League, USFL? So Jeff Pearlman has a new book out on the USFL, and he sent it to me. I was a huge Houston USFL fan, the Houston Gamblers, Jim Kelly, Jack Pardee, all those guys. And so this here is Jeff Pearlman's book. Okay, let me get the sun out. Okay, and so it's called Football for a Buck. It is called The Crazy Rise and Crazier Demise of the USFL. And of course, it stars Donald Trump, who killed the league because of his massive ego, and he desperately wanted to be an NFL owner, which is why they can't stand his ass today. So that's just truth. So last night, so this book is, I always do this here. So, you go through this book. So this book is 333 pages long. Last night, I completed, and again, I cracked it open last night. Just got it in the mail yesterday. So I read 140 pages of this book last night. And so anytime I read 140 pages of a book in one night, that means it's a very breezy read. It's a very good book in terms of how it's written, very fascinating stories. And so you definitely want to check that out. And so I'm going to be obviously interviewing Jeff when I'm on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So can't wait to have that conversation. So another book that I'm reading is by Ethel Payne. Ethel Payne, of course, one of the first African Americans covering the White House. She was a top writer for the Chicago Defender back in the day. And so her book is called Eye on the Struggle. So this book, let me turn it this way, is so that's again, that sun is making it hard to see that cover fully. And so Eye on the Struggle, Ethel Payne, the First Lady of the Black Press. The book is by James McGrath Morris. And so obviously I'm familiar with her work because I was a former executive editor, general manager of the Chicago Defender. And so she was a great writer for us. And so I just started reading this book. I think I've read this book, so I can highlight and stuff. So I've read 22 pages of this book. So, and this book is, and I do the page, the reason why I'm giving y'all the page numbers because, look, bottom line is that some books are longer, some are shorter. And so people sort of make those determinations. And so, it's all good. So this book is 389 pages. And so I got a little ways to go. I haven't cracked this book here open yet, but it is another member of the Black Press. Let me turn it this way so y'all can see it. This book is called Fighting for Fairness. It is the life story of Hall of Fame sports writer Sam Lacy, by Sam Lacy, with Moses J. Newsom. Sam Lacy was one of the greatest sports writers in the Black Press, working for the Afro-American here in Washington, D.C. I got a chance to meet Sam Lacy, legendary sports writer. I was able to present him an award. NABJ, we had our convention in Kansas City in 1991, and Sam got one of our Pioneer Awards. I think it was a Lifetime Achievement Award. I was a national student representative on the board, and I got a chance to actually meet the great Sam Lacy. And so I need to get with our people to chase down those photos. And so again, that was 1991 when I was a student on the board. And so I'm going to be reading this book here. This book here is, and again, he was one of the folks, along with Wendell Smith, who pressured Major League Baseball to admit blacks to Major League Baseball. And so 243 pages. And so you name it, he has done it. And he's won all kinds of awards. Yes, it was a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Association of Black Journalists, and we awarded that to him in 1991. And I was the one who presented him his award. And so I'm reading that. Another great book about the Black Press that I am reading is phenomenal, y'all. It's this book right here. Okay, it's called The Rise and Fall of the Associated Negro Press, Claude Burnett's Pan-African News and the Jim Crow Paradox. It is by Gerald Horne. You've seen Gerald Horne on News One now. Gerald Horne is a professor at the University of Houston. He wrote the book on slaves in 1776 in the fight for freedom. But this book is amazing, okay, because I run 3 black newspapers. I've done all kind of stuff. I had never heard of Claude Burnett until I got Gerald's book. It is a fascinating book. I am on page 135 of this book, and I'm almost done with it. This book is it is meticulously researched. This book has 187 pages, and so I'm almost done with this. But this Jim Crow paradox is very interesting because he talks about how you had all these black newspapers and black folks who were fighting Jim Crow and who were demanding freedom and who were breaking down barriers all across this country. But while they were doing it, they were leading to their own demise. And y'all going to hear me talk about this a lot because that's what's happening right now. What is happening right now in America is that all these black companies, our black ad agencies, even black media outlets, what is happening is it used to be black targeted buys. It used to be multicultural marketing. And so you had these divisions that were set up, these whole divisions in companies, in major companies, Walmart's, your JCPenney, all these different companies. But then all of a sudden, what has happened now is because multicultural is now becoming mainstream, they're wiping all of those divisions out of their companies. And the black ad agencies and the Latino ad agencies, which were getting those ad dollars, what's happening now is they're now shifting those dollars to, guess what? Mainstream media. Because mainstream media goes, oh, you can just do a general ad buy. You just do a general ad buy. So our black and Hispanic ad agencies are dying because the money is being shifted. So again, the paradox. We're moving towards a nation that's majority people of color, but now white firms are still getting lion's share of those dollars. And the problem is when you go inside these major ad agencies, few black folks, few Latinos. So you're going to hear me talk about this. So This book is important because he shows you this Jim Crow paradox about how these black entities were thriving. Our black banks, our black schools, our black insurance companies, our black newspapers, all of these institutions were thriving because Jim Crow kept us out. But then when integration came, guess what? We gave up on those companies and we start aligning with mainstream companies, and that's what destroyed those companies. And they went away, and they died. That's what he calls the Jim Crow paradox. It's repeating itself right now. Most folks are not talking about this, but trust me, I'm going to be talking about this here. So that's why that book is important. How the past informs the present to inform the future. You'll hear me talking about more of this in the future. Okay, here's a book that I've read, and you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to reread this. I'm going to reread this book because there's some stuff that I just want to reread it. Okay, you've heard me talk about this book, and it was out of print for a while there. It was out of print. Okay, it was out of print. And the author, he's heard me mention his book for years in speeches. And I think it's now available in electronic form. I think it is. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to go to, let me check right now. I'm just going to go before I even tell y'all. But this is a book that I highly recommend. Very rarely will you hear me say, well, first of all, let's be clear. Everything I read, everything I talk about, I actually read. So I don't talk about books that I have not read. But I think, okay, so I do see on Amazon this book is available in paperback. I don't think it's, now it does say in here it's available Kindle and hardcover. Okay, all right. But I know for a fact it's now available electronically. This book is called Dark Bargain. It's called Dark Bargain: Slavery, Profits, and the Struggle for the Constitution by Lawrence Goldstone. I have read this book. He has a PhD in American Constitutional Studies. He lives in Westport, Connecticut. And this book was done a number of years ago. And let me tell y'all something. It blew me away because this book, 2005. So I've had this book now for 13 years. And this book lays out, Dark Bargain, lays out how it lays out the impact of slavery in the creation of the United States Constitution. It does. And so he uses the notes of James Madison, okay, who kept notes. And then his notes were later revealed. And that forms the makeup of this book. They were told not to actually take notes. But in fact, he did. And so the reason we know the difficult conversations, the reason we know all those different things that happened in the creation of the Constitution is because of these particular notes. And so it is very interesting to read this book. And you listen to what these founding fathers had to say. And you listen to what they were actually saying in the room as they were laying out the Constitution. It is a phenomenal book. It's a phenomenal book because you get a peek inside the reality of what took place. You get an understanding of what took place. And so, again, I've read this book. I have quoted from this book on many occasions because people need to understand the role that slavery played in the creation of the Constitution. And then you have the people out here who go, oh, this book is flawed. You have these people who, all this sort of stuff along those lines. Nah. Like, here's a perfect example. Somebody jumped on this page and they said, Goldstone writes that African slaves had been in Virginia since the 1620s. This is not true. Slavery was not legal in Virginia until 1667. Okay, this is what's so stupid about this here. It doesn't matter that it wasn't legal. The reality is 20-odd Africans arrived in Virginia in 1619, August 20th of 1619. They were initially traded for food. They were actually sold into slavery. So it was actually happening, folks, before. So again, you have these people who want to sit here and want to talk about how Dark Bargain is that the other. No, it's a phenomenal book. And so I'm going to reread Dark Bargain. It's a book you want to get. Trust me. People today are talking about the riches of Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, and they're talking about, of course, Warren Buffett and folks along those lines. And so, who actually came before? Who was the richest man before Jeff Bezos? The richest man before Warren Buffett, before Mark Zuckerberg? Well, it was John D. Rockefeller. How many of y'all know about Standard Oil? When Standard Oil was busted up. When Standard Oil was busted up, did you realize it created 32 different oil companies that were major oil companies? When you think about Exxon, you think about Gulf, you think about all these companies were born out. This dude owned that much. So Ron Chernow, many of y'all know about Ron Chernow. Of course, he wrote the book Hamilton, which I have, and I need to finish reading as well. So Ron Chernow, and do me a favor. Y'all could please share this with your folks so they can actually learn from this. Would love for us to get our Twitter and Facebook numbers up. But share this so people can actually learn about this. And again, these are books that I've actually read or am going to read. So Ron Chernow, who did Alexander Hamilton, he wrote a national bestseller called Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefeller Sr. This is Titan. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do this for Dark Bargain. So Dark Bargain is, lots of notes is here as well. But Dark Bargain, not a bad read. It's only 195 pages. So Dark Bargain is the second shortest book on here. The Rise and Fall is the shortest one at 187 pages. Okay, so Ron Chernow is extremely detailed in his books. So folks, he's a lot different. This book is unbelievable. In that the book is, it's more than 600 pages, 676 to be exact. It is rich in detail and talks about the life of John D. Rockefeller, one of not one of the oil barons, the oil baron, the man who was the richest man in the world, okay, who owned everything. He was a titan. He was a robber baron. He was a tough son of a bitch. And so you want to read that. But the person who probably writes longer than him is in more detail is oh my God, Robert Caro, C-A-R-O. He has dedicated his life. Dude is 82 years old. Y'all, he has dedicated his life to these books about President Lyndon Baines Johnson. His time in the Congress, his time in the House, in the Senate, his time as vice president and president, and he's written 4 books. He's working on the 5th, which he says is the last. They take about a decade to write. Dude, he's literally only focused on LBJ his entire life, and that book is crazy. I'm gonna have Jackie bring that book down, and it is huge. I mean, all of his books are like 1,000 pages. It's like, and what's crazy is when he turns the book in, they're 3,000 pages, and the editors say, "You got too much detail, player. We got to edit this." And so I'm gonna have Jackie bring that book down. So I've read the first 2. I read the first 2 books by Robert Caro. He has 2 more, Masters of the Senate, and then he has the 4th one, which I forgot. I got both of them. But geez, Masters of the Senate, I think is like 900 or 1,000 pages. That's going to take a while. Okay, last book I have for you that you really ought to read. That's a phenomenal book. And y'all heard me talk about it. And a documentary has been made on him. I want y'all to go get the documentary, go see the documentary. It's called Maynard. His family did the documentary. I've only seen a third of it. I caught it on a Delta flight, but I need to get it and see the rest of it. But Robert A. Holmes wrote the book, Maynard Jackson, a biography. Now, some of you may see this and y'all might say, "Oh my God, that's a really basic cover on Maynard Jackson." And so here are the photos on the back of the book. But it really is a great book about Maynard Jackson that details, and I've gotten through 80, and I read it off and on. So I've gotten through 82 of the, what is here, 352 pages of the book. But it's really great because it gives you an understanding of Maynard Jackson, what he meant as, of course, being the mayor of Atlanta. And so it's a phenomenal book. Again, the book is called Maynard Jackson by Robert A. Holmes. Okay, so hopefully Jackie gets my text and she brings Masters of the Senate down. Okay, so let me go over the books again in case you missed it. Okay, so you can go back and read the description. You can watch the descriptions. But as I said, Maynard Jackson, Robert A. Holmes. Okay, get that book. So this is what I'm reading right now. I typically read 7 to 9 books at one time. So I have 7 with me right now, but I've got a few others. Ron Chernow, Titan, The Life of John David Rockefeller Sr. John D. Rockefeller Sr. Okay? All right, cool. And so Hood just comes down here. Yes, I'm outside reading. What? I'm on the live stream right now.
Okay.
I'm doing the book club thing. What?
Nothing.
Well, you don't want me to book? You don't want me to book stream?
Huh?
You don't want to be on over here? Okay.
Are you recommending my book?
The other book is.
Are you recommending my book on the book stream? Fulfill the Art and Joy of
Y'all know
Honest
how?
Living?
Okay, first of all, if you're gonna come down here and try to talk about your book, you might want to bring the cover.
No,
Don't be coming
I was
out
asking,
here.
did you?
Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, again, The Rise and Fall of the Associated Negro Press, Claude Burnett's Pan-African News, and the Jim Crow Paradox by Gerald Horne. So let me hold that up so y'all can see that. Okay. All right. Dark Bargain, Slavery, Profits, and the Struggle for the Constitution by Lawrence Goldstone. Another book. Great book. Fighting for Fairness, the life story of Hall of Fame sports writer Sam Lacy by Sam Lacy with Moses J. Newsom. That's this book right here. Great book. So these are all the books I'm reading right now. Another time, I'm going to actually do a book club video on books I've already read. I read over the years that I think you ought to read that are great. This book, Eye on the Struggle, Ethel Payne, the First Lady of the Black Press, James McGrath Morris. Here's that book. Newest one, just got in the mail yesterday. I am a third through it already. Football for a Buck, The Crazy Rise and Crazier Demise of the USFL by Jeff Pearlman. There you go. And I was telling you about Robert Caro's book, which won the Pulitzer Prize for writing. #1 bestseller. It is called Robert A. Caro, The Years of Lyndon Johnson, Master of the Senate. Okay. I told y'all. Remember I told y'all how long his books are? Straight up. This is no lie. Straight up. Oh my God. Okay, that's a note on sources. Okay. Those are debts. So I just want you the actual book. Okay. Okay. 1,040 pages. This reminds me of the book that was done on Barack Obama. That thing literally can be a doorstop. I interviewed David Garrow, who wrote that particular book as well. I mean, I think it was like 1,200 pages, but this book is 1,040 pages. I think when he turned this book in, it was like 3,000 or 4,000 pages. If you go to YouTube, he's done interviews with different people. There's a great story in the New York Times the other day where Conan O'Brien is absolutely obsessed with Robert Caro and his books, and he's been trying to get him on his television show for like 20 years, and Caro keeps telling him no. And it's crazy because he's done Colbert and some other shows, but he keeps telling Conan O'Brien no. So and Conan is like just obsessed with this dude. He even showed up at a book signing. So it was a pretty interesting story. I think I read it like 2 days ago. No, I read it last night, which is why I went and grabbed it again. So Caro's book, 1,040 pages, Master of the Senate, Lyndon Johnson by Robert Caro. Okay, folks. So that's it. So I just wanted to, y'all know I love books. I actually read real books. I do read some books on the iPad. I prefer not to. I'll read magazines like Vanity Fair, Golf Digest on my iPad. No, I prefer to actually read books, to touch them, feel them, highlight, stuff like that. Highlighting on the Kindle ain't the same. I'm sorry. It's just not. So there you go. So I'm about to go back, finish reading Pearlman's book. And what I might do is I might read 100 pages of his book, and then I might read like 20 pages of each one of the other books. And so I'm trying to get back into the groove of at least reading, my goal is to read at least 25 pages a day of a particular book. Not 25 pages, 5 different books. No, I want to try to read more. So that's what my goal is. And so I need to get back to reading, as I used to just devour books. And so I'm trying to get back to that. So that's what I'm going to do. It's gorgeous. It's great out here. And so that's it. If y'all want to know what I've read, all you got to do, if you go to Twitter, there are probably more books on Twitter under the hashtag Roland's Book Club. ROLANDS BOOKCLUB. Yes, I can spell Roland's Book Club. Go to Roland's Book Club. On the Twitter, you can also, there'll probably be fewer Roland's Book Club mentions on Instagram. Probably the second number is on Facebook. But I know I probably have more mentions of the books that I've read, especially books of interest to African Americans. Well, no, about African Americans that anybody should read if you go to Twitter. So just, matter of fact, you don't even have to have Twitter. If you type in hashtag Roland's Book Club, that's of course is the pound symbol, Roland's Book Club, in Google, whatever your search engine is, and then it'll come up. So you'll see all the books that I've mentioned, that I've read. And yes, any book that you see under Roland's Book Club, I've actually read. And so I can actually give my thoughts on it. Nope, the person on Periscope, Ursula, you said Roland's Book Club on Twitter. No, hashtag Roland's Book Club. Or pound sign Roland's Book Club. That's what's going to come up. And so you actually see that. And so, all right, I want to thank everybody who has joined me on Periscope, who has joined me on YouTube and on Facebook. Don't forget, Roland Martin Unfiltered is going to debut on September 4th, live streaming. Going to launch at 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern on September 4th. We are looking forward to it. Cannot wait. If you want to support us, please join our fan club, the Bring the Funk, hashtag Bring the Funk Fan Club. We want to get $20,000 supporters to contribute at least $50 over the course of a year. If you want to do $5 a month, then that's fine. If you can do 50, that's great, because we have to be able to own our story, own our narrative, and fund our own freedom. And so that's one of the things that I believe in. And so we are talking to advertisers and others, but also we really want your support as well, because we want to be able to do a daily show every single day, speaking to our news and speaking to our interest. The donation recurring just once a year. So you can, if you want to give the $50, if you want to give more, I've had some people who've given $100, $200, $300, $500. I think one person gave $1,000. It's all up to you. If you say I can't give $50, that's fine. You give $5. We have it set up. You can give through PayPal, or you can actually go on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and then you can actually give. We have it through Square as well. And so, so please support us to make this happen. We're going to have lots of book authors on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and then I'm going to have those set up as separate interviews. And so my goal by the end of the year, I want to have at least 100 plus authors on the show. And so we're going to have different folks, whether you're black, whether you're white. And so we're going to have Latino, you name it. We're going to have all those different books. I am not, how I say this here, just so y'all know, this is the last point here. I'm not a fiction person. I'm just being honest with y'all. I've never really, I don't read fiction. So typically the books that I do are nonfiction books, because I like to just, look, life is so interesting to me. I don't necessarily need to read anything that's made up. That's always been my thing. So look, and if fiction is your thing, yo, I got no problem. I'm good. I got no problem with you. I'm good if fiction is your thing. It just has never been my thing. I've always gravitated towards nonfiction, because those are books that I've enjoyed reading, and then I'm able to take that knowledge of a nonfiction book and then use it in my speeches or in my commentary or stuff along those lines. And so that's just how I've always been able to do it. So nothing wrong with it. Jackie's book is Fulfill the Art and Joy of Balanced Living. The Art and Joy of Balanced Living. You can actually check that out. If you go to RolandSMartin.com, you can buy the book from there. It's on Amazon as well, but if you buy the book through JackieHood.com, JACQUIE, Hood, HOOD.com, or through RolandSMartin.com, those will be personally autographed. Also, my book, Listening to the Spirit Within, we're out of print, but I am about to cut a deal with Amazon's printing company, not Shared Space. why is it leaving me right now? So I'm about to do a deal with them. I'm gonna put that book back in print. I still get emails about that. It's a collection of my faith-based columns, so I'm gonna do that. We do have copies of my book, The First President Barack Obama's Road to the White House, as originally reported by Roland S. Martin. All you gotta do is go to RolandSMartin.com. Then you can order that copy. And again, all books that come through RolandSMartin.com, that come through JackieHood.com, that's JACQUIE Hood.com, all of those books are personally autographed and mailed to you. So, all right, folks, we have got to go. I got to go read. So, enjoy hanging out with y'all for this 30-minute chat about Roland's Book Club. I hope you enjoy. If you want to recommend your own books, please do so. And so, okay, I got to go. You have a great day. Happy reading.